It'd have been
That's
worse.
why I ain't, you feel me?
It's better.
That billion.
Yeah.
Bruh, that billion. I ain't tripping.
But that's the thing. Most rappers don't say that. Most of them take the deal. Most of them play the game. But Dababy, he had a choice. And what he chose would cost him everything.
I could have conformed, you see what I'm saying? Like gave in, goddamn, go along with what, you know, go along with the program that the motherfucker present you with, whatever, you know what I mean? Give in, goddamn, but it wasn't.
So why is the industry spending years trying to erase someone who refused to bend? And more importantly, what exactly was he refusing to do?
When you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time.
From someone who watched it all happen up close, let's set the timeline straight. It's early 2020. The COVID pandemic is just getting started. The world is shutting down. But in Los Angeles, at a mansion in the hills, Sean Combs is throwing a party. Dababy wasn't supposed to be there. He wasn't part of the bad boy dynasty. He wasn't riding the decades-long wave of Diddy's power. He was a young rapper from Charlotte, North Carolina. Dirt poor origins, street credibility, real momentum. By 2019 to 2021, he was everywhere. Chart-topping songs, big features, sold-out shows. He had the kind of momentum that most rappers spend their entire careers chasing, and then he got invited to that party. Here's the thing about parties like that. They're not really parties. They're auditions. They're tests, and what happens inside them stays inside them. Usually, but not this time.
So the party at Diddy crib in LA, this was beginning of 2020. You know what I mean? Diddy had put everybody else out the crib, like the influx of people he had put them out.
Stop there for a second. Think about what that means. A party at Diddy's house. Thousands of people on a normal night. But on this night, selective, curated, exclusive. The guests get filtered. The inner circle gets filtered even more, and what's left is small, intentional. The people who are being tested. That detail matters because it's not random. Nothing at that level is random. In the years leading up to 2020, Diddy's parties had become legendary, not just in the industry, but in culture. The white parties in the Hamptons, MTV documentaries, politicians, executives, athletes, A-list actors. The guest lists read like a who's who of power. Thousands of people spending summer nights in all-white outfits. The New York Times wrote about them. They were genuine cultural events. But here's what's important. Those same parties also had a reputation, a whispered one. The kind of reputation that gets passed around at industry tables and private conversations through careful omission in public interviews.
Yeah, or until you see them at a puffy party. Then they're not tough no more.
Terrence Howard said that, not casually, with weight. And in the context of everything else, the trials, the federal investigations, the accusations that would eventually come out, those words stopped being abstract commentary and became specific warning. Dababy was young. He was hungry. He was at the epicenter of the moment, and he walked into a space where power was being flexed in the most visible, unmistakable ways possible. He said Jay-Z was there. He said Beyonce was there. He said that as the night went on, people started leaving, not because the party ended, because they were being filtered out. The inner circle tightened, the vibe shifted, and Dababy noticed something change about how Diddy was treating him.
My assistant was like, you know, he wants to hang out with you next week, and I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to, you know. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands-off with somebody.
Dababy figured it out. Something was being offered, something masked as casual hangout energy. But the moment he understood what was really being suggested, the moment he realized what it meant, it changed. The whole dynamic flipped. This is where the rumor intersects with the reality. Because the question isn't just what happened at that party. The question is, what would have happened if he'd said yes? We have a blueprint for that, and it comes from someone who did say yes. Someone who did play the game. Someone who spent decades trying to escape the consequences. Mase was Bad Boy Records in its prime. 1997, he's 20 years old. Harlem World hits #1. It goes 4 times platinum. He's everywhere. Videos, songs, features. The whole era of Bad Boy has his fingerprints on it. He's inseparable from Sean Combs publicly. They're like brothers. The whole world is watching this dream happen in real time, except it wasn't a dream. It was a transaction.
From what I know, I think that Diddy wasn't teaching Mase the business. You understand? He was using Mase as other artists to write rhymes on other people, write songs on other people's albums, on his album, and taking their talents and stealing their publishing on different albums and different records. Prime example, Mase wrote that Bad Boy joint. I ain't even see him at the premiere. Because I believe Diddy owned most of the publishing on that, which ended up being a big record.
Mace wrote the Bad Boy theme. You know the song, the iconic opening, Bad Boy for Life. That song was everywhere. It became a cultural artifact. It went to movies. It defined an era. And Mace, he made pennies. Thousands here, 10,000 there. While that song, and the one he wrote, went platinum. Diddy took the credit, Diddy took the publishing, Diddy took the legacy. And here's the cruelest part. Mace didn't even know how much he was getting robbed at first because Mace was young. He was 20 years old. He didn't understand publishing rights. He didn't have a lawyer teaching him the business. Nobody does when they're 20 and you've been signed to a major label.
Did he tell him, yo, you ain't gonna never be famous because you always speaking to people. Let them speak to you. I seen Mace stop speaking to people.
So Mace's whole demeanor changed. His Harlem smile disappeared. The approachability that made him a star, Diddy told him it was a liability. Diddy isolated him, told him to stop talking to people, told him that being nice was keeping him from being famous. Let that sink in. A young black man is told by the most powerful person in his industry that his humanity, his ability to connect with people, is an obstacle. That if he wants to win, he has to become something colder, something more controlled, something less himself. And Mace complied because Diddy held the keys to everything.
Diddy was teaching him wrong. Like, Diddy was teaching him not to even speak to people, brother. You understand what I'm saying? Nate used to come up in there, yo, what's up, how you doing? He had that Harlem smile. You know what I mean? Like, he happy, he's shining. Cause, you know, he had a lot of jewels that the other artists didn't have. He used to come up in the studios, he used to come places fly. Diddy tell him, yo, you ain't gonna never be famous because you always speaking to people. Let them speak to you. I seen Mace stop speaking to people. When I told him, man, don't listen to that dumb, be you. But he found out after Big died, and Puff left his ass out in California. He knew only Puff was for self.
When Biggie died, gunned down in 1997, Diddy left Mace in California, alone. No explanation. Mace realized, I made this man tens of millions. And the moment I stopped being useful, the moment the era shifted, I was disposable. So Mace left. He went into ministry. He tried to escape, but he couldn't really escape because Diddy still owned the publishing. Diddy still owned the legacy. Diddy still owned pieces of him. This is what compromise looks like at the industry level. It doesn't look like a one-time bad decision. It looks like a slow suffocation. First the financial theft, then the psychological control, then the isolation, then the abandonment. And finally, decades later, you're still trying to get your own life back.
Me and Puff was like, I felt like I did more than I got credit for, more than I got paid for.
You felt or did you do that? Because you said felt. Like
okay,
feeling.
let's clear that up then.
You saying you feeling that?
No, we're gonna keep it with, because I'm trying to be nice. I never got paid what I was worth, and I never got the respect I was worth. So the disdain that I got for Puff is more like, you trying to keep me here. I'm not here. All my peers is up here. All my peers are bosses.
Mace had to spend decades understanding what happened to him. He had to live through being chewed up by the machine, being spit out, and then spending years trying to rebuild his own agency. Dababy saw the blueprint. He watched what happened to people like Mace. He understood the template, and at 2020, at a party in Diddy's house, when he got the invitation to step into that machinery, he made a different choice. Here's what's crucial. Dababy was in the perfect position to play the game. He had momentum. He had star power. He was young and hungry and pliable. He was exactly the kind of artist that the industry loves because they can be shaped. But there's something in Dababy's wiring that's different, and he says it plainly.
I could have conformed, you see what I'm saying? Like gave in, goddamn, go along with what, you know, go along with the program that the motherfucker present you, whatever, you know what I mean? Give in, goddamn, but it wasn't.
He goes further. He says he could have done the things that would have elevated him. He could have conformed. He could have played ball. He could have stepped into that room and accepted what was being offered. And if he had, he'd be up $1 billion, not metaphorically, literally. But it would have cost him something that, according to the warnings being sounded by people like Terrence Howard, you can't get back once you give it away.
When you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
Now I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time.
When Howard talks about the man card, he's not being poetic. He's describing a specific kind of spiritual injury. He's watched people go into these rooms, go along with things they know are wrong, compromise themselves in ways they can't articulate publicly because they're locked by NDAs and contracts, and then they spend the rest of their lives carrying that weight. Howard believes, and there's a lot of evidence supporting this, that there's a system in place, not some wild conspiracy theory, an actual documented system where powerful gatekeepers use humiliation, isolation, and compromising as control mechanisms. Dababy understood this, not consciously maybe, not as a fully articulated theory, but instinctively. He felt the shape of it in that room. He saw what was being offered, and he said no. For about 2 years, it seems like Dababy had dodged a bullet. He kept rising, the music kept hitting, the streams kept climbing. Life was momentum. Then came 2021, Rolling Loud, Miami. On stage, in front of thousands of people, Dababy made comments. He talked about people's sexual orientation. The specifics of what he said matter less than the timing, because the moment those words left his mouth, something shifted in the industry. It wasn't just that people were offended, it was the speed of the response. It was the coordinated nature of it. Festivals dropped him immediately. Brands backed away, radio stations went cold, major collaborators distanced themselves. On paper, the explanation made sense. He said something controversial. The industry reacted. Standard consequence. But Dababy would later hint at something else.
To myself more than anybody, because I knew goddamn, you know what I'm saying? Like I could have been, I'm already knowing, like I know what I'm capable of, you know what I'm saying? And I done already proved it to myself before with how I goddamn hit the ground running. Like I was top streaming artist in the world, you get what I'm saying?
Listen to the frustration there. He knew what he was capable of. He knew he could come back from a scandal. He'd done it before. But this time was different. This time the response felt coordinated in a way that suggested it wasn't really about the comments, it was about the refusal. People in the industry started connecting dots. And when you start looking at it through that lens, the timeline becomes interesting. Around the same time Dababy was facing sudden industry cooling, Meek Mill made a statement. Meek understood. He'd lived through his own version of the same game. Legal battles, probation drama, sudden shifts in how the industry treated him, and he saw the same pattern unfolding with Dababy. But here's where it gets interesting, because while Meek was defending Dababy publicly, Meek's own history was complicated.
Meek Mills and Puff was a little too friendly. Anytime two rappers or two people in the industry come dressed up alike on more than one occasion, my man, listen here, man. My dudes in Philly, I got some real strong dudes in Philly. They don't play that.
There's an implication there, whether it's fair or not, whether it's based in reality or not. There's a narrative that says Meek got close to Puff in ways that damaged his standing, his image, his credibility in certain circles. And whether that narrative is true or exaggerated or completely fabricated, it's there. It's part of the cost of being in those rooms. So now we have two versions of the story. Mace young talent enters the system, gets extracted, gets isolated, gets controlled, gets exploited financially, spends decades trying to get his life back, eventually steps away, eventually comes back, eventually has to watch as the man who stole his legacy tries to rehabilitate his image by returning publishing rights right before a federal trial. Dababy young talent rises quickly, enters the room, but doesn't sign the contract with his soul, refuses the deeper game, faces immediate pushback, gets pushed out of the industry center, but maintains independence, maintains his label, maintains creative control, and crucially maintains his self. The difference isn't subtle.
Like he didn't want me to grow at anything. And to anybody, is that gonna bother you?
Yeah.
Especially if I'm producing the work.
Mace made way more money than Dababy in the beginning. Mace was at the center of everything. Mace was the face of an era, but he paid for it with control of his own existence. Dababy, he's independent. He tours. He maintains his Dream Chasers label. He keeps his publishing. He doesn't have to call anybody to approve his moves. He also doesn't have the machine behind him. He's not on every playlist. He's not getting the promotional muscle. His new music doesn't get pushed the same way. But he's his. That's the choice. That's what Dababy understood standing in that room in 2020. Fast forward to 2024. Diddy gets arrested. Federal charges, serious charges. The nature of those charges becomes public through court documents and attorney statements, and the details are disturbing. The story of the baby oil bottles starts circulating. Over 1,000 bottles seized from Diddy's properties during federal raids. The sheer volume is what makes it significant, because you don't need 1,000 bottles of baby oil just for baby oil. Allegations emerged that those bottles weren't just containing baby oil, that they may have been infused with chemical substances, specifically gamma hydroxybutyrate, or GHB. that would make someone's body go limp, unable to control their movements, unable to resist. This is allegedly how some of the assaults happened, with a substance disguised as something harmless applied to the body, causing disorientation and paralysis.
The accuser alleges that her body went limp because it turns out the oil was infused with agents that caused the body to go limp, where you were unable to control yourself or your body or your muscles.
And at that moment, when these details went public, Dababy did something brilliant, something that's being interpreted in two ways, depending on who you talk to. He went to a film shoot, had a massive bag of baby oil bottles, and on camera, in front of his whole crew, he dumped them on the pavement. Just dumped them. Dozens of bottles spilling across the ground. Then he looked directly at the camera and grinned.
Guys, it's finally been revealed how Diddy used his baby oil, and it's disgusting.
Dababy wasn't making a joke. He was making a statement. He was saying, I know exactly what you're talking about. I was in those rooms. I saw those bottles. I understood what they were for. And I said no. It's a performance. It's him speaking in the language that comes naturally through image, through shock, through control of the moment. It's him saying publicly what he's probably been saying privately for years. I was there. I know what you know, and I chose differently. Now we get to the part that might be the most important, because I can't say he's doing it, but I can't say he's not. That's the language of someone who's been living under the threat of legal action, who can't explicitly accuse without risking everything. But now there's a trial. Now there's evidence. Now there are court documents. The burden of proof shifts. Dababy hasn't given formal interviews about what happened at that party. He hasn't sat down and laid out the details. He's maintained a certain strategic silence, but he's spoken in the ways that matter to him, through the baby oil bottles, through his independent label, through refusing major label deals that would have re-centered him, but also re-enslaved him. His whole post-2021 move has been an act of defiance, not loud defiance, quiet defiance, the kind that says, I'm going to live on my own terms, own my own work, control my own narrative. That's a different kind of power than chart dominance. It's slower, it's less visible, it's also less corruptible.
It ain't in me to do that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't in me to do that. I could have did one or two things, you see what I'm saying? And I'd be up $1 billion. $1 billion point five. Like goddamn be a poster child for some that I ain't signed up to do that. I ain't
basically
that ain't what I'm here for.
A humiliation ritual.
You could call it that. Real. I mean that be for real.
What he's saying is, you can have the billion if you're willing to carry the weight of what you did to get it. You can have the industry access if you're willing to become something you can't look at in the mirror. But I'd rather have myself. And yeah, that comes with costs. Real costs, career costs, money costs, visibility costs, but it comes with integrity. Terrence Howard didn't come out of nowhere with this message. He's an actor, he's lived through the industry, he's seen the game, and he's become convinced that there's a system designed to break young men's spirits so they'll be easier to control. Whether you believe the extremist versions of what he's saying or not, the core message is undeniable. There's pressure in industries built on massive power differentials. There are systems designed to control artists. There are gatekeepers who use humiliation as a tool. This isn't just about Diddy. It's about how power functions in industries where one person can make or break careers with a phone call. It's about how when you're young and hungry and talented, you're vulnerable. You don't have the wisdom to see the traps. You don't have the financial security to say no. You don't have the network to protect yourself. That's where Dababy's choice becomes remarkable. Because Rolling Loud wasn't his first controversial statement. His whole brand is built on provocation. But 2021 was the moment that the industry collectively decided they couldn't carry him anymore. What changed? One interpretation, he made comments that offended certain constituencies, and the market, which is increasingly socially conscious, responded. That's a legitimate explanation for some of what happened. Another interpretation, he refused to play ball, made clear he wasn't going to be controlled, and got pushed out as punishment and warning. The truth is probably both. What matters is that perception and reality have blurred so completely that it doesn't matter which explanation is true, because power only works if people believe they have no other choice. The moment they realize they do, everything shifts. Let's come back to that moment. Dababy dumping baby oil bottles on the pavement while grinning at the camera. There are people who see it as a joke, a troll move, someone being provocative for attention. But in the context of everything we've discussed, it's actually something much more profound. They've got cultural momentum. Mace has built himself back to relevance outside the system that broke him. So the calculation becomes, give him back what we took, let him announce it publicly, ride the goodwill, maybe soften the narrative when everything comes out. It's a move. It's a transaction. It's Diddy doing what he's always done, using people and situations to maintain power. But this time, the context has changed. This time, the federal case is real. This time, the silence has been broken. So here's what we have at the end of all this. Mace took the deal, played the game, made more money initially, lost control of his life, his career, his publishing for 25 plus years, had to spend decades rebuilding, finally got his life back only when the power holder was no longer able to hold power over him. Dababy refused the deal, refused the game, made less money, got pushed to the margins, but maintained control of his life, his career, his publishing, built a sustainable independent career, signaled his refusal without breaking his silence, positioned himself to speak when it actually matters.
Been up a beat. It'd have been worse.
No, 100%.
It'd have been
That's
worse.
why I ain't, you feel me? That
It's
billion.
better.
That billion.
Yeah.
Bruh, that billion. I ain't tripping.
He ain't tripping, because you have to live with yourself every day. And if you can't look at yourself in the mirror, all the money and fame in the world doesn't matter. Dababy refused to sell his soul to the industry. That's the rumor. That's the thesis. That's the truth that ties all of this together. He had every incentive to say yes at that party in 2020. Youth, talent, hunger, proximity to power, a chance to level up in ways that would have made him a billionaire. But something in him said no. It cost him chart dominance. It cost him radio play. It cost him the machine behind him. It cost him a place at the center of the industry. But it earned him something that turns out to be rarer and more valuable. Control of his own narrative. Ownership of his own work. The ability to look at himself in the mirror. That's the actual story, not some wild conspiracy theory. Just a young man understanding that the thing being offered came with a cost he wasn't willing to pay, and being willing to live with the consequences of that choice. In an industry built on compromise, that's revolutionary. The baby oil bottles were just the visual. The real statement was years in the making. Every independent release, every decision to stay in his lane, every refusal to re-sign with a major label that would have re-centered him but also re-enslaved him. Dababy said no, he meant it, and he's living the consequences and the rewards of that choice in real time. Whether you believe in the dark interpretations of what those parties represent or not, you have to respect someone who chose integrity over billions, because most people don't.